Okay, we've got the brined bird that I've taken out of the brine and dried off. You want to make sure that you get it as dry as you can. It'll keep weeping, so make sure you have a paper towel around or several of them, and just keep patting it dry if need be, because you want to keep it as dry as possible at this stage. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking now our yummy herb butter, and we're going to be tucking it under the skin. So in order to do that, we have to loosen the skin from the meat. There is a fine or thin membrane that is between the skin and the meat, and that's what holds the skin on. It's so fine you can actually look through it, but it's not so tough that you can't release it with just a little move of your finger here and there. You've probably seen other people, like, they put gloves on and they just shove their whole hand in there, but that's with a really big bird. Because we disjointed it, we're going to be relying more on our little finger. So I go in through the front. I like to go in through the front. Reason being, you have this whole area here where the breast tapers out and thins down. And if you've loosened all that, the butter will drain out much faster. I want to keep the membrane here so that the butter is retained as long as possible, because technically the breast is thinner on this side, right, than it is at the front portion. So if some more drains out here, it's not as such a big deal. So if you, I don't know if you can look under here or not, but if you can look under here, you can see where, I pull back the skin, and right where the skin meets the meat is where the membrane is. And you won't see it as much as you'll feel it. So this whole process is really more about feeling your way in. And don't be worried about tearing the skin, because the skin tends to be on the tougher side, a little bit more than a chicken. Now, there's really no other way to describe this as far as what to do. It's really just a matter of get it done, however you need to get it done, just by feeling your way through. So you can probably see here, right, through the skin, how I'm sort of moving my fingers. But as I'm moving my fingers, I'm feeling myself break that membrane. I'm just stopping about, about a ½ inch or so from the end. And now that one's ready to go. So we're going to do the same thing now with the leg portions. Okay. Now see how the skin here is kind of moving around? So I'm going to lift the skin at the back end, if you will, or the opposite end of the drumstick, and just try to stick one finger in there and then pull back towards me like that without breaking through. See that? My finger is actually under the membrane, and you can barely see the membrane, see? But that's what you're releasing. If you can get it down into the drumstick a little bit, that's fine, but don't worry so much about it. Okay, see, that was it. Much longer for the breast, obviously, because it's a bigger piece of the turkey. And then same thing on this side. And you don't have to worry about doing this with the wings. Okay, now all the skin is loosened. All right. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use a spoon. You can just take your fingers and grab the butter. Now, if you don't want to use all that butter, all right, you can cut it in half, or portion it out, split it, whatever you want to say, and use that half first, because once you start going back and forth, you've now contaminated the butter, right, with turkey juice or chicken juice or whatever, and then you can't use it for anything else. But I'm pretty much going to use all the butter. But it's just easier to get the butter under the skin, I think, with a spoon. So I'm going to take some of the butter, okay, and then I'm going to push it off, you see, with the skin, tuck it, push it off, okay, like that. And then just with your hands, smooth it out over the breast. However much you need. And, be liberal, okay? Because it's all about flavor. It's the holidays. It's, it's not about diet. We're going for flavor here, right? So be liberal. And you can pour off any excess fat later anyway. So Don't go skimpy. There, we've got all that nice butter in there. And because we left the skin attached, it's not going to be oozing out the other side. And because we also left the excess skin, we can now tuck that under, and it makes a nice little casing there. And then we're going to do the same thing with this butter and the thighs. So here's what I normally do. Once the butter is in here, I go ahead and I stick it in the fridge, you know, stick all the pieces in the fridge, and uncovered, I leave it for at least a day. You know, 1 day's fine. And actually, what happens is, because the butter's in contact with the meat, right? You've got the garlic and the herbs and all the, you know, the salt and the pepper and everything in there. So in essence, you're sort of marinating the meat as well. You're not putting it into a liquid marinade, right? Or a dry rub, but you are flavoring the meat because the butter is now in contact with the meat overnight. For the wings, I'm just gonna go ahead and smear. We're just smearing. I want to get a bit of a coating on there because I'm going to put this in the refrigerator overnight. There is the deconstructed turkey with the garlic herb butter underneath the skin. And now that's going to go in the fridge overnight, nothing on it, because that'll help the skin to dry out, and that will help with crisping and browning. And then tomorrow we go ahead and stick it in the oven. Ta-da! Doesn't look that much different, does it? Anyway, that's been in the refrigerator, and I have taken it out and I've actually let it sit at room temperature for about an hour and a half, believe it or not. Sort of treating it like a steak. And at this point, it's pretty much ready to go in the oven. There's only one thing left to do, and I like to use, I know, I should be using like a brush or oil or something. I just think it's easier. Get some cooking spray, because you just get a nice even coating on it. And that one doesn't, well, I'll put it on there anyway. That one doesn't really need it because it's got butter on it. But you need just a little bit of fat just to get it going. Always hold the pepper way above so you get a nice even coating. And because it's obviously been brined, it's pretty much ready to go. So at this point, we're going to stick it in the oven. You can, as an alternate, if you want, forego the rack underneath, and you can cut up a mirepoix of onion, celery, carrot, and put that on the bottom. But I'm just going to do it that way. Okay, let's stick this puppy in the oven. Okay, I've got the oven preheated to 425, and I've got the rack on the lower third because I'm using a convection oven, and I got the fan right there, so I want the fan right above the turkey, as you can see. And that's pretty much it. That guy's gonna stay in there for about an hour and 20 minutes to an hour and a half, somewhere in there. But we're gonna start testing it at about an hour and 15 for temperature of the breast and temperature of the hindquarters. And when those are done, whichever one's first, we're gonna take that out and let whatever is left finish. Dun, da, 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 the turkey. I have removed it from the oven. And there you have it. That's your 12-pounder. Doesn't look like much, does it? But it'll feed enough people. So let's show you how to go ahead and carve this thing and go ahead and serve it on a platter, nicely garnished with some herbs here that we actually used right in the butter. So you'll remember we have one breast on this side, one breast on that side, and you've got the breastbone going down here. So basically just like a chicken, the anatomy is the same. You cut down one side of the breast, and I'm using a long slicing knife, right? Cut down one side, cut down the other side. So now it's just a matter of, as you're pulling the breast away from the bone, you take your knife and just scrape against the bone, releasing the breast. Just like that. You have one there, right? To slice the breast, you want to slice against the grain, right? So one way to do it, I find it easy to start on the tapered end and cut it on a slight angle. That way you get more surface area and it looks a little bit more attractive on the plate that way. And then I just use the same knife as sort of like a spatula, slide it underneath and bring it up to the platter. We have a platter here. And then just sort of spread them out a little bit. There's always a nice contrast between the white meat and the skin, isn't it pretty? Okay. Now, the legs and thighs, you have the joint approximately right here. So just cut or find the joint. You can turn it over sometimes. And sometimes. There we go. Okay. Then you put one here. I love the thighs. So you can actually get a couple of pieces out of the thigh by trimming both sides. I'll put that over here. Don't overcrowd your platter. I wish I had a larger platter, but I don't. I can put a little bit more on here, but you can always come back and put more on there, right? We're gonna go ahead and garnish the platter with some of the same fresh herbs that we used. Now, my wife, when she does Thanksgiving turkey, she does the whole bird, and that thing comes out just absolutely stunning. She uses a bunch of herbs in hers too. But then what she does is she garnishes it with, like, you know, those little seckel or floral pears, the little tiny ones, and maybe pomegranates and orange and I don't know, nuts and I don't know, just it goes on, but it just absolutely, it would do Martha Stewart proud. It's actually even prettier than a Norman Rockwell painting. So there you have our finished Thanksgiving deconstructed turkey with herb and garlic butter. And then we're gonna serve it with the mushroom gravy. Looking good, smelling good, time to taste. This is always the best part, right? Pour some of that nummy mushroom gravy over the top. Yeah, I'm one of those. I like lots and lots of sauce. Wow. Okay, here we go for the white meat. Cuts really nicely. Mmm. Okay, damn, that's good. It's nice and juicy and tender. And wow, just the meat itself has a lot of flavor, and it's just perfectly seasoned. And then you just have that like extra bonus with the mushroom gravy. Those of you who don't particularly care for white meat or don't usually eat white meat might end up liking this white meat. I'm a dark meat guy, although I do like the white meat. So I have to try some of the thigh. Wow. Damn, that's good. Well, I hope you go ahead and give this a shot. Maybe for this Thanksgiving would be great. And then let me know what you think, because I'd really love to hear back from you. I'd love for you to subscribe and to ring the bell and to like, because I like you. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody. This is damn good turkey.